There are things holding you back, and you don't even realize it. Sometimes it's not a lack of willpower. It's an emotional trap so old, it feels like part of your identity. But here's a truth most people won't tell you. It's not what happened to you that's holding you back. It's the story you keep telling yourself about it. Mental triggers are like ticking time bombs disguised as memories. And until you learn how to defuse them, you'll keep reacting like a prisoner of a past that should have lost its grip long ago. Maybe you've done therapy, taken courses, read self-help books, fasted, prayed, but you still lash out, run from chances, or feel that tightness in your chest without knowing why. That's not just stress. That's an emotional code running your life from the shadows. But what if I told you that you could break free from it, without depending on anyone and without being defined by labels? And better yet, what if the process could be faster than you think? Today, you'll learn why certain thoughts sabotage you, how to catch them in real time, and the practical steps to take back control of your mind. But fair warning, after this, you won't have excuses anymore. You'll either get free or keep choosing the chains. The choice is yours. There are many people who look just fine on the outside, but inside, they carry a weight no one can see. It's like their heart has scars that never properly healed. Even after finding faith, the soul screams in silence, craving healing for old wounds, rejections, disappointments, abandonment. And the craziest part? Sometimes they don't even realize they're walking around emotionally broken. They just feel a constant heaviness that never really goes away, even when life seems okay. That's when the truth surfaces. Knowing spiritual principles doesn't automatically mean the soul is healed. A lot of people hide their pain behind polished prayers and cliches, but the wound still throbs. Quoting scripture won't fix a bleeding heart. What truly helps is making space for healing. And that starts with courage. The courage to look inward, face painful memories, and let light into the darkest corners. Once you start, you realize it's not about religion. It's about liberation. Sometimes a raw conversation, a letter you never sent, or even a moment of intentional silence can unlock doors that have been shut for years. Want to start? Try writing down everything that still hurts and censored. Then read it as if you were decoding your own past. Because only those who recognize their pain can take the next step, even if that step takes more than just faith. A lot of people believe that once they start a spiritual journey, everything will change overnight. But it doesn't work like that. Inner growth is more like a rehab process. It takes time, effort, and most of all, patience. Faith gives you that first push, sure, but real change happens in your daily routine, in the quiet yes and the invisible no's. Healing your soul is more like building a house brick by brick than flipping a switch. It's common to feel frustrated when you still catch yourself dealing with anger, jealousy, or fear, even after giving your life to God. But that doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. What helps? Building transformation rituals. For instance, start your day reading a proverb and end it by writing down 3 things you need to forgive yourself for. Sounds simple, right? But these small habits slowly reshape your soul, day after day. Once you understand the process is ongoing, you stop comparing your journey to others. Everyone has a different story, a different pace. What matters isn't how fast you grow, it's the direction you're headed. And when you honor your rhythm, you'll realize every fall is a lesson, every silence hides an answer, and every internal struggle invites you to dig deeper. And sometimes, that deep dive reveals emotional triggers that are still bleeding. You know those moments when someone says something simple and suddenly your mood crashes? That's an emotional trigger, a silent reminder that something inside you still needs attention. Ignoring it is like covering an open wound with a pretty bandage. Eventually, the infection surfaces. And the worst part? It doesn't always explode outward. It often implodes into anxiety, self-sabotage, or broken relationships. A lot of people keep trying to hold it together, thinking time will heal it. But time doesn't heal what you hide. It just buries it deeper. These unhealed emotional triggers end up steering your life. They influence your choices, your relationships, even your sense of self-worth. That's why so many people repeat toxic patterns. They're reacting from pain, not awareness. And the scary part? They don't even realize the issue isn't what happened today, but what never got healed yesterday. Now, here's a necessary nudge. Whether that lack of opportunity or bad luck you complain about is actually a symptom of unresolved spiritual trauma. Unhealed pain often wears the mask of limiting beliefs. And let's be honest, many people who seem spiritually strong are financially stuck. Why? Because spirituality without emotional healing won't lead to real prosperity. By the end of this video, you'll understand why so many spiritual people don't prosper and what you can do to break the cycle. And if you want to go deeper, there's a powerful resource waiting in the first comment. Nowadays, it feels like everyone has a label: anxiety, ADHD, depression, borderline. And yes, many of these diagnoses are real and valid. But here's the danger. When people start to accept the diagnosis as their identity, they begin to define themselves by what they have, not who they are. And when that happens, they stop seeking transformation and start looking for polished excuses for why they haven't changed yet. There's a big difference between using psychology as a tool and using it as a crutch. The issue isn't the medication. It's the belief that medication alone is enough. Many people take antidepressants, but don't make new decisions. That's like trying to put out a fire while leaving the gas on. Real healing demands action, confronting habits, changing your environment, breaking toxic cycles. You can't pray for freedom while still feeding the very pain you're trying to escape. That's why so many remain stuck, even with all the knowledge in the world. Because knowledge without action turns into lifeless theory. Have you noticed how some people know everything about trauma, but can't live lightly? The real issue isn't how much you know. It's how much you allow yourself to be changed. And sometimes that change starts with something simple. Realizing that the rest your soul craves isn't a pharmacy. It's rooted somewhere much deeper. There are moments when nothing seems to work. Therapy doesn't help, advice feels hollow, and distractions lose their charm. That's when many people realize the problem wasn't out there. It was inside. The soul is exhausted. And when your heart reaches that level of burnout, you can't fake it anymore. You need real rest. But not just any kind of rest. The kind of relief money can't buy. Only grace can deliver. Rest of the soul is different from a nap, a weekend off, or a nice vacation. It's something deeper. A space where guilt quiets down, anxiety slows, and fear loses its grip. This rest doesn't come from a perfect schedule, but from a real relationship with the one who gives peace without conditions. It's not about religion, it's about reconnection. And when that connection happens, even old wounds begin to make sense. What's powerful is how a heart that finds rest starts seeing purpose where it once only saw pain. Crises become preparation, and tears become seeds. And the best part? It doesn't mean pain disappears. It means peace shows up. A kind of peace that rearranges everything inside, even the deepest traumas. But for that to happen, you've got to be willing to show where it hurts. Because wounds that stay hidden never receive the kind of healing that transforms. A lot of people want healing, but hide the wound, as if God needs to guess where it hurts. But healing only happens when there's exposure. Showing your pain isn't weakness, it's maturity. It's admitting, I need help. And those brave enough to show where they're bleeding often realize they already carry the first spark of their healing inside. The problem is, we've been trained to pretend. To say I'm fine while falling apart inside. But faking strength is exhausting. Even more so because what isn't treated eventually overflows. Revealing your pain can start with an honest prayer, or even just saying I'm not okay to someone you trust. It's a simple act, but it pulls pain out of the dark. You know that saying, you can't treat what you won't reveal? It fits here perfectly. You can't heal what you keep hidden. When you expose the pain, it loses its grip. Fear shrinks, shame weakens, and healing draws near. Sometimes, the miracle you're waiting for isn't delayed. It's just waiting for your willingness to be vulnerable. And that's when survival starts turning into purpose. There comes a point in every healing journey when everything shifts. The victim mindset gives way to becoming a vessel of healing. The pain that once paralyzed you becomes fuel. You start realizing that everything you went through, even the unfair stuff, can be reframed. It's not about denying what happened, but about giving it a new meaning. And when that happens, The strength you once used just to survive begins to be used to transform. Those who go through this process realize they weren't healed just for themselves. It's like the pain turned into a rare medicine, now able to help others heal too. Remember that one conversation someone had with you that changed everything? Maybe now you are the one who's meant to have that talk with someone else. When healing reaches your soul, it shows. In your actions, your words, even your presence. A healed person doesn't need to preach. Their peace speaks for itself. And here's the twist. Sometimes, the very person who hurt you the most might be the one who needs your forgiveness to begin their own healing journey. But that's a whole other level of healing, and exactly where we're headed next. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about remembering without bleeding. When the soul is healed, the past doesn't vanish, but it loses its power to hurt. The strongest sign that someone has been transformed isn't the absence of scars. It's the presence of peace. Forgiving isn't waiting for an apology. It's deciding to walk free. And that shift doesn't happen when justice is served, but when the heart realizes revenge doesn't heal anything. That's the moment the story changes its tone. The wound that once triggered anger now becomes a testimony. You look at the person who hurt you and feel compassion instead of resentment, not because the pain was small, but because the healing was massive. The ability to forgive shows you're no longer a prisoner of your past. And, ironically, the forgiveness that frees them is the same one that frees you. That's why forgiveness is the ultimate sign of inner restoration. It closes a cycle. It doesn't always mean reconciliation or staying close, but it does mean release. Releasing the weight, the need for control, the right to retaliate. Those who reach that level aren't weak. They're wise, because they've learned that true strength isn't in winning arguments, but in overcoming ego. And when ego bows out, the soul finally breathes. Now that you've uncovered what triggers you, there's only one decision left. Keep reacting on autopilot or take charge of your story. One of the biggest traps is repeating the same patterns, hoping for different outcomes. What thought do you need to let go of today to change the course of your life? Drop it in the comments. Writing it down is a powerful way to commit. If this content resonated with you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This space dives deep into the wounds most people avoid. And tell me, what are you going to do with everything you've learned here? Because knowledge that doesn't turn into change becomes dead weight. And if something inside you feels like there's still more to uncover, check the first comment. There's a message there that can help you understand why so many people with deep faith still feel stuck in life. That might be the exact key you've been needing to unlock your next chapter.